Did you know that approximately 620,000 soldiers died during the Civil War? Hi, my name is Joey Coverly, and I'd like to learn a little more about the Civil War. The Civil War is important because it brought our great nation back together. Today I would like to talk about the different generals, battles, and political figures that were involved during this great war. There are many different generals that match minds throughout the war. General Grant is perhaps the most famous Union general. He was, according to English and Jones, he was actually the most successful Union general of the Civil War. His success can be attributed to the fact that he always kept cool and never doubted himself. Grant was a loser in life before the Civil War, and the Civil War kind of kick-started his career into political and military greatness. Robert E. Lee, before the war began, was widely regarded as the best soldier in the United States Army, according to English and Jones in a book written in 1997. He was originally going to fight for the Union, but he couldn't fight against his home state, Virginia, because basically back then the states were individual, and not until after the Civil War did they unite as one nation. Lee was often outnumbered, but this did not stop him from winning many outrageous battles. There were many terrible battles during the Civil War. Battle of Gettysburg is probably the most famous, and it can be considered the turning point of the Civil War. It was fought between Robert E. Lee and General George Meade. It was probably General Lee's most devastating defeat and most famous defeat. He made some very costly mistakes during this battle, including the infamous Pickett's Charge, where Pickett lost almost his whole army. The Battle of Antietam is a famous battle because it is the bloodiest single day in Civil War out of the Civil War, according to Daugherty in a book written in 2009. It was fought between General Robert E. Lee and General George Meade. It's important because it provided Abraham Lincoln the opportunity to establish the Emancipation Proclamation, according to Daugherty of 2009. And basically, during the Battle of Antietam, General Burnside fed his army down a bridge while General Lee sat back and just picked off his troops one by one, pretty much like to a meat grinder. There were many key political figures in the Civil War. Abraham Lincoln, of course, known by many as Honest Abe, was our 16th president, and as mentioned before, he issued the Emancipation Proclamation. But sadly, he was assassinated by John Wilkes Booth in 1865 at Ford's Theater. John Wilkes Booth was later caught and hung. Jefferson Davis was the president of the Confederate States of America. He was a proud Southerner and states' rights advocate, according to Turner of 2007. Davis had little knowledge of military strategy and politics, but he was a great leader nonetheless. Today we have discussed the Civil War and many of the great battles, generals, and political figures during that time. It was important because it brought our great nation back together and, of course, freed the slaves. Although many lives were lost during this great war, they did bring the United States back together as one nation and made us and united us stronger than ever before. Thank you. Was John Wilkes